I always kind of think back to like, what if people see this that are not really paying attention? What are my friends seeing that are not into Bitcoin or into these financial markets? And all these banks are banks that are not in Western Colorado. They're not banks that any of my friends have ever heard of. So you see all the graphs and you see the size of these things failing, and it's still so disconnected. It's, oh, the Fed will bail them out. Like, nothing has hit home. We see it coming. We're looking, but nothing has hit home yet. It's not hit. It's not hit the real economy yet. And I mean, if I had employees, none of them would have $250,000 in their bank account or above that to be worried about. So it's not hit the real world yet. It's maybe hit the market, and if you have a 401k that has some bank stocks in it, you feel it. But I'm just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop where it's a bank that people I know of have people I know have heard of fails, whether it's a local bank in my community or just a larger one. And it doesn't really seem like those larger ones are going to fail. So I'm hoping nothing hits my community as far as banks go, but like, it seems like things are just going down, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So
that's some real interesting points you hit on there, because I know like these are a little bit of obscure banks and smaller banks with a lot of capital in them, or a lot of big accounts. So it's wondering, there is conspiracy theories that are out there saying like they're depleting the FDIC, which has limited funds. They're almost out. They're just kind of picking the banks they want to fail almost and funding them first, and then before they start to tear down something else. That's one theory that's out there. But the contagion of banking is not just on the U.S. soil. So we've got all the banks. We had news that came out this week from Europe, and I think Australia as well. But we had Europe announcing that their rate went up a quarter point, basis points. So it went up 25, same as the Fed Reserve did. And then we've got bank deals falling through. Like, this is out of Canada, where First Horizon was supposed to be, their shares crashed today because they were supposed to do a deal with TD Bank, which is one of the largest banks in Canada. So as these things start to fall through, it's no wonder that we see these banks that are under pressure and their prices just tanking. So I'll put it out there, like, guys, is this going to continue? Is this going to be like the inevitability? I see Dylan that's saying yes. Like, yep. I'll let you start off here. It's just going to keep going? Where's the end in sight?
I think we'll see a bit much bigger event. I think more of these will fail. It seems like part of it's by design that these institutions are failing. And you see this in markets all the time. I don't know if it's completely related, but I used to work in aviation. I was selling jet fuel. And when I came into the market, about 5 companies had bought up 80% of the market. And they've been doing that over the past 10 to 15 years. I don't know the exact timeline, but there used to be all these like regional fuel suppliers in the market. And then you had a few companies that did really well. And this happens in any market. And they start buying other companies that are not doing as well. And they start expanding and doing all that kind of stuff. And then next thing you know, the whole market's captured by these, basically monopolies in their respective markets. And it was interesting to see that there. And I think a similar thing might be playing out here, where we're going to see money, capital, resources flee these regional banks and be directed towards or under the control of larger banks. Like Ben mentioned, a lot of the larger banks don't look like they're going to be failing. We're going to see them grow in strength as people move their capital and resources to them, because like those won't fail. And these smaller ones, we'll see them drop off, or people have less interest in them. And I think the big moment will be when one of these big banks gets tested. Will one of these big banks fail, and how will that set the stage?
Yeah, and I'm just to throw it over to Patrick here in transition for JP Morgan. They just acquired, I think it was First Republic, and now they're over 10% of all banking holdings. So now even Elizabeth Warren, one of the biggest anti-crypto and I guess she's a big proponent of banking, but even she's upset about it. Like, are these banks, were they back in the position of too big to fail? Are we on the verge of the Big Short 2.0, Patrick?
Yes. It's bigger than before. It's the commercial banks that have huge problems with commercial mortgage-backed securities that are going to hit the pensions, that are going to take away all of the money from the working class citizens. The end of the banks started in 2009 when Satoshi released Bitcoin to the world. And that's it. It's game over, guys. Like, you could try to play a game with Bitcoin, but you're going to lose.
Yeah. There's another conspiracy theory about what launched. Like, people
Would you guys drink to that?
Yeah, I'll drink to that. But why not? Why not? Sponsored by Peony Wine, of course. But I'll say this, like, the global financial crisis of 2008, a lot of that kind of spurred, like, there's lots of conspiracies that the people were involved in that said, hey, we got to do something else. That launched Bitcoin in 2009. So that the banking crisis was narrowly averted in 2008. I think we were about an hour away from having that happen before the too big to fail event happened, and they just Congress threw some money at it to save some banks. But
what is this thing, like 65%?
It's 15%. It's pretty strong.
Okay.
Here is this lovely Merlot that I'm sampling today.
I'm drinking a nice unlabeled blend that I had no idea what it is that I made, but
proprietary.
That's the perks of being a winemaker. But if we're talking about any consolidation of industry, like Dylan was saying, is kind of whether we want to talk about conspiracy theories or not, that's just the direction of the fiat system. There could be things behind the scene that push them forward, but fiat being close to the money printer, that phenomenon just pushes things into more centralized areas. And so maybe that gets to a point where it's so centralized that it's it either breaks or it works. And that's what I'm afraid of, is why I'm into Bitcoin, is like, I think it's one or the other. Either that centralization takes all the power, or we can break it away and get through before they get to that point. And that's just the direction everything seems to be going. So whether they're pushing it behind the scene or not, it's moving towards consolidation, and consolidation of the money, consolidation of that is a scary place to be.
Yeah, that's a big move that they like to do in recessionary times. It's much easier to control several banks versus hundreds or thousands of banks. It's the same of anything. So that's why the theory, or what's the evidence is showing, that smaller banks are going down, regionals would be next. And you could say the same thing about businesses too for the last several years. But with banking, I just want to point, normally we talk about a little bit about real estate as well, but I think that we need to point out, why are the banks having such troubles right now? Not many people quite get it, but what's going on is that they make money through lending. And we see all these stories now. We have auto companies that can't, they're having problems. They're not making loans. We see that we're having banks losing money on mortgages for the first time. We have these programs that are pushing high risk credit home buyers into mortgage products. Yeah. So guys, I mean, this is the kind of recipe that happened in like 2006, 2007. So I think that we're kind of nearing that tipping point where it's going to go. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I think that, I don't know. Have you guys seen anybody who's buying a house or a car lately?